Hello everybody, welcome back. Today's video is going to be about the new Pat McGrath Mothership 6 eyeshadow palette. And this one is called Midnight Sun. Now this one is just launched recently in Sephora Singapore, so you can get this online and also at select Sephora outlets. Now if you're not familiar with Pat McGrath's makeup, one, it is pricey. It's very pricey. Two, they are very intense and pigment loaded. Just one touch of the eyeshadows will give you instant opaque payoff. Pat McGrath is not playing. If you've seen some of her work before, she's extremely creative. She's basically a makeup genius, and she has been working in the industry doing runways and editorials for decades by now. I am one of those people who used to go through fashion magazines just to look at the makeup, and I would look in the credits to see what makeup brands they used and who the makeup artists were, and I would follow their look. And Pat McGrath's name was just one of those that kept popping up and popping up and popping up. So she was definitely one of my makeup heroes growing up. And you know, her makeup line launched a few years ago and has not disappointed. I love her lipsticks, I love her highlighter palette, which I didn't use today because despite this beautiful blinding glow that you see, I actually used the eyeshadow palette for this. So it's definitely a multitasker. Also, I thought this would be a good time to feature this particular palette because this is so beautiful for fall. If I were to just block off this blue-purple shade, can you see? It's just fall colors. Burnt russet tones, a soft ochres, a deep olive green, deep dark matte brown black, and these two extremely pigmented mirror finish kind of chrome pigments. The thing I have to point out though is if you are a makeup beginner, you are not especially familiar with pressed pigment shadows, very intense, almost raw feeling kind of mica minerals, then Pat McGrath's eyeshadows may not be the best option for you to start out with because they can be a little bit tricky to work with. Some of these matte shades that I was laying down as a transition color, they go on so strong that for a few moments I almost felt like I was working with pure brown oxide pigment. So if you're not familiar with a lot of brushes, tools and techniques, or this kind of pigments in general, you may have some problems blending and diffusing the colors out. Now if you've used the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette, or you've seen some videos with people who had difficulty working with some of the colors, you will experience that to a slight extent with this palette. Either way, I really enjoyed working with this palette. If you look at the top 4 shades, this gives you a very simple, neutral, daily look. Slightly smoky because these are pretty intense if you have similar complexion to me, but very wearable. If I just work with these 3 shades, it's a very soft, very standard neutral eye. And if you need a pop of color, there are plenty of nice fall appropriate options for you to work with here.
Your breath, don't lose control. You're sinking in your dreams, it's holding on. Breathe it out. Can you feel this weight around your neck? It's time to let go. control. You're sinking in your dreams, it's holding on. Breathe it out. Can you feel the sweat around your neck? It's time to let it go.
Now, who do I recommend this palette for? If you're a makeup artist, you like to do editorial looks, you have clients who want some more daring evening glamour, this is a great palette for that. Also, if you are a makeup enthusiast like me, you are not shy about using different colors and being a little bit more experimental with textures. This, like most of Pat McGrath's eyeshadow palettes, are conversation starters. You wear some of these on your eyes, you go out somewhere, people will take notice. Price tag aside, if I could change one thing about this palette, I would make this deep smoky olive green just a little bit more green, a little bit more vibrant. Not like bright lime green, but just a little bit stronger, because as it is right now, it is beautiful and smoky, but once you apply it on the lids or you pair it with any other color, this comes off quite dull in a way, and it looks more like a taupe brown or grey depending on the light, rather than a beautiful sort of fall themed olive khaki green. As it is right now, this shade is not able to stand up to the intensity and vibrancy of the other colors. So no matter how you pair it, it's pretty much going to come off as a taupey brown neutral rather than a green. Now, with all that covered, do I think this is worth it? I feel if you are a makeup lover, you should definitely own one of Pat McGrath's palettes in your lifetime. That's just what I think. If you're an advanced makeup user, you do not have similar colors or textures in your collection, then yes, go for it. I would say if you're a makeup beginner again, this may not be the best option for you unless you're really confident about working with really intense pigment-rich shadows like these. If you find it problematic working with some of the really pigmented soft-pressed shadows like ABH or Natasha Denona, then you most likely should steer away from this one, because this is as pigmented, if not more pigmented than those. But if colors, textures, and intensity turns you on, then definitely check out one of Pat McGrath's. I wouldn't necessarily say to go for this one over the other Mothership palettes, because she has a few really gorgeous ones. Mothership 3 is beautiful, Mothership 1 I love. So it really is just down to choosing a color story that appeals to you. But I find her choice of colors to usually be really, really chic, very editorial, very modern. If you like really edgy, intense looks, then Pat McGrath is definitely where you should head. So that's it for my overview and try-on of the new Mothership 6 Midnight Sun palette by Pat McGrath. I hope you guys found this helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Hold your breath, don't lose control. You're sinking